This is hardcore Minecraft, and this is the end dimension, which is honestly pretty boring. So today, I'm transforming the end, building my own end island that has custom biomes never seen before on YouTube. But before I do anything else, I need to kill a few ender dragons, so I'm sorry, Enderman. Now I can craft a bunch of end crystals, and I'll need these for later. Time for the first dragon. This might take a while. Yep, I'm drag clicking to collect Dragon's Breath. Glad my time playing Bed Wars was put to good use. Anyways, now that the dragons are dead, I can move on with the absolute worst process of this entire video, which is getting rid of all these pillars. But luckily, before I killed the ender dragons, I actually had gotten some maxed out diamond pickaxes, and this is just so I don't have to worry about repairing them as I move along. Let's see how long the first one takes. Okay, that took like an hour, and that was probably the smallest one out of all these, so this is gonna take a while. Okay, that took about 70 Minecraft days, but at least the pillars are gone. And if you were wondering why I didn't build an obsidian farm last episode, this was why. Oh, wait, I forgot to get rid of the bedrock. Okay, now the pillars are gone. Luckily, getting rid of the end island is a lot easier than it seems thanks to this TNT flying machine designed by Raiseworks. I'll leave a link to his video in the description below, but basically what it does is it drops TNT down a line, and then when it reaches the end, it slides over a block and repeats the process. Without this machine, this video wouldn't have been possible. I mean, seriously, did you really expect me to mine all of this by hand? Well, I guess the machine couldn't do all the work for me. And now... okay, I won't lie, this looks really cool. But it's about to become so much cooler. Because stage 1 of building my end island requires about 13 shulker boxes of magenta concrete to build a giant hemisphere as the base of the build. To craft concrete, I need sand, gravel, and dye, which in this case is magenta dye, and that requires red, white, and blue dye. Luckily, I had some gravel in the bartering farm storage, and after running the bartering farm some more, I flew around the nether and overworld until I had enough gravel for all the concrete. The sand was really easy. I just found a desert nearby using chunk base and abused my shovel until I had enough. As for the magenta dye, it wasn't as easy. I ended up building a flower farm in front of my house only to realize that it was in the wrong biome. So then I rebuilt it behind my house in the right biome and then ran out of bone meal. So I just sat here at the wither skeleton farm for whatever, you don't care. But then I crafted the concrete and ran the converter and finally had enough to build the dome. Okay, I just have to let lava flow down like this. And while that's flowing, I'll get rid of this obsidian. And I can let the water flow down and build the first layer and put the shulker boxes down. Oh, that's a problem. Yeah, looks like I'll need to build a mob switch. I was gonna build one later, but I have to build up 65 layers of this thing, and I can't do that if endermen are constantly in my way and trying to kill me. So I built up this mob switch by Kelp MC and made a railway system from the villager breeder through the nether to the end portal and down to the mob switch. I wish I could say moving the villagers here was easy, but I had gotten one zombie here, moved my first villager there, then the zombie despawned, so I had to get another one, and then I spent the next few hours moving villagers in place. Some of them lived, some of them died, yet all of them managed to make me question my sanity. But eventually, all 70 villagers had been traded with and converted into zombie villagers, meaning I could finally build the base of my new end island. Okay, wow, this is huge. But it's not done yet because I need to put a farm in here. And what farm would I put in the end? That's right, it's the honey farm. Yeah, I made the same joke 2 episodes in a row. Deal with it. Anyways, I put the honey farm here and extended the storage for it. Like I'm ever gonna have 3 double chests of honey bottles. But to be honest, I don't really like where the mob switch is right now because it's not centered to the dome, so... oh, look at that, it moved all on its own. That's crazy. I guess I could finally get rid of this flying machine, huh? And here's the last few blocks, and oh wow, that looks crazy. Okay, I'm getting excited for this. As you know, I want to put the custom biomes on top of the dome, so to make the process easier, I'm gonna put down a layer of dirt so I have something to stand on when I'm building them. I started off with 3 shulker boxes of dirt, but that just wasn't enough, so I went back and got 5 more boxes of dirt, which was just the right amount to fill in the entire circle. Seriously, this thing is huge. And since I have so much of it, I used obsidian to mark out the 12 sections where each biome will go, which means I can finally start the first biome. on day 499. I've already spent over 200 days on this project. The first biome I want to build is what I call the lush mangrove biome. Basically, it'll be like a mangrove swamp, but instead of all brown and yicky, it'll be a bit more green. Believe it or not, but to build a mangrove biome, I actually need mangrove wood. Shocker, I know. Oh, what? There's a thunderstorm happening. Hold on. I wonder if I could get my first mob head. I mean, other than a wither skeleton, obviously. All right, just got to charge this creeper. All right, I've got it this time. Okay, that was a bad idea. Did I get it? I did, awesome. Look at me, I'm a flying creeper. Getting back on track, I organized all the materials for the biome and got to work on the ground, bone mealing moss to replace the dirt that was already there. I want each biome to feel unique and detailed, and part of that is not having the ground be completely flat. So I destroyed almost all the moss just to place it back one block higher. Yeah, I'm smart. Here comes the interesting part though, as I bone meal the mangrove trees and strip the logs to make them red. The red bark is much more vibrant than the brown, so it helps the biome feel a bit more lush. Once I was happy with the trees, I started detailing the ground, replacing the moss with patches of coarse dirt, normal dirt, grass, and mud. Then I dotted around some mangrove roots, added some smaller custom trees, and finished out the biome by adding some mangrove logs with a few leaves on them. I'm honestly surprised how well this turned out. I'll admit that I thought it was going to be a bit more vibrant than this, but I mean, this is the end. I can't really do anything about that. But other than that, I'm happy with this. Let's move on to the next one. Next is what I call the land of enchantment, and I'm basically turning this biome into a giant enchantment area. It'll have enchantment tables, bookshelves, chisel bookshelves, barrels. I should probably stop talking before I spoil everything. For the floor, I decided to use a mixture of blue concrete, blue wool, and lapis. This helps texture the ground and saves me time by not having to trade as much. I still had to take a trip to the raid farm for more emeralds to trade, and I don't know what's going on with this storage system, so I'll have to fix that at some point. Anyways, I got more gravel, made more concrete, converted it, and grabbed the other materials for the biome. I don't think I'll have enough concrete for the whole thing, so I'm just gonna go one section at a time. Well, that's all the blue concrete I had. How much did that cover? Not enough. Maybe if I put some of these decorations in place, I can take the ones that are hidden underneath. The idea for these is that I want to have some enchantment ring things, so it's like there's a bunch of enchantment setups everywhere. And then these barrels would be like for storing books and stuff. Oh yeah, I wanted to put the chisel bookshelves here too, so it's like whoever used these setups took the books out of the bookshelves and actually like used them to enchant. Yeah, I'm so cool. Then I can texture the floor and... okay, I need more concrete. Alright, that's looking good so far, but there's one more thing I want to add, and that's candles. I've never actually used candles before, but I decided to put some on the bookshelves, barrels, and even in the air. I mean, come on, floating candles in an enchantment biome? That's cool, right? Time for some big ol' shrooms, and by that, I mean custom fungi, since just building a regular mushroom biome would be pretty boring. I just need to find a mushroom island, which I'm using chunk base for. Sorry, not sorry. Wait, I just passed it somehow. Is this... seriously, we're doing this again? I swear this happens every episode. Anyways, I found a real mushroom island nearby and grabbed the mycelium and mushrooms from it. Then I made my way to the Badlands biome, set up a beacon, and mined a bunch of terracotta to use for the custom mushrooms. Back in the end, I placed down mycelium for the ground, making a hill that's just a little bit higher than the last one. Then I went ahead and planted the red and brown mushrooms and collected some mushroom stems to use for the custom ones. Okay, now I have to figure out how to build a mushroom. It should be pretty easy since I'm just trying to keep it similar to the red ones. Yeah, this shape should work. And I just gotta add the white concrete for the little dots, and yeah, I think that's good. Time to do it for the others. And I just got to place the last blocks here and done. And that's the mushroom biome. I tried to vary the height and shape as much as I could, but mushrooms aren't exactly easy to detail when they're smaller like this. Not to say that the build is small. Trust me, it's not. That last biome's pretty ugly, so I'm going to liven it up and build a custom flower forest. I could just go to a flower forest and only use what's there, but I want to take it just a little bit further. And I'm going to need more flowers. Using my leftover mycelium, I outlined the shape of the terrain. Then I went back and covered it all with moss, just like I did with the lush mangrove biome. Once that was done, I placed down a bunch of flowers and tried to put them in patches to make it seem more natural. Then I planted some azalea trees since it's the only tree that has flowers in its leaves. And to finish the biome, I dotted around some flowering azaleas and put leaves on a few of them to make it look like the trees are still growing. And yeah, that's so much nicer than the previous one. Not to say the mushrooms were bad, it's just this is so much easier to look at. Nature's getting a bit boring, and I really like that enchantment biome I did earlier, so I'm going to do something similar and build a custom redstone biome. Basically, the ground's going to be scattered with pretty much all the redstone materials I own, which I'm sure won't affect me in the future in any way. And it can't be a redstone biome without the ground being, you know, red. And I'm just going to take all my other redstone materials and some red wool for the ground. Oh, and the sugarcane farm broke again earlier, by the way, so I'm giving up on that and using those materials for this. To outline the terrain, I'm using leftover leaves because leaves are definitely a redstone block. Now I'll put in the red terracotta. And I think I'm just gonna put the redstone materials on the first layer before I build up the other layers, just so I can get a better idea of what I'm doing. It'd be cool if I had like some functional redstone in this thing, so maybe I could add like a hopper clock here. Yeah, that's good. And maybe this could be like a sticky piston pushing some slime with some honey blocks. As for everything else, I'm just gonna dot it around. I'm not sure what a redstone biome's ground should look like, so I'm just gonna put some red wool and redstone blocks here mixed in with the terracotta, and I'll finish it off by locking this repeater. Cool, one layer done. You get the idea. Making a small hill, decorating it with redstone circuits and random items, and it's done. Okay, I know I just flew through that but that looks a lot cooler than I thought it would. Yeah, that adds a lot to the build. The red contrasts really well with the green and blue. Next up is what I'm calling the dead waste biome. I watched Oppenheimer recently, again, and I thought about how they were concerned about blowing up the world and thought that would be a good fit after building the redstone biome because TNT is a thing. Before I build it though, I gotta repair my tools so I can get a bunch of dirt and sit here at the wither skeleton farm because I need bone meal for the tree farm and I need some dead bushes. Like I said, the inspiration behind this biome is nuclear fallout, more specifically one that happened in a forest. So I'm picturing everything dried up and dead. Starting with the ground, I used a mix of coarse dirt, path blocks, and regular dirt to make it seem like all the grass had died, then followed up with some leafless trees. In a real explosion, all the trees would be on fire, but then they'd burn up and disappear, so I think having trees with no leaves can simulate the charred tree look. I also made sure to add some fallen trees as if whatever caused this explosion knocked some trees over. It looked a little too monochromatic, so I went back and added some leaves, then added the dead bushes, and finished out the biome with some leftover mangrove roots to make it look like the leaves were actively drying up. I want each biome to feel like it has substance when you walk through it and tell a bit of a story, which I think this biome does perfectly. Before I move on to the next biome, I want to finally do something about the center platform since right now it's just an empty hole. And to match the big dome, I think it should have a similar color. Luckily, crimson wood is purple, so it should work really well for this. Starting off with some magenta glass, I filled in the circle up top and left some spots around the portal for ladders to go, using crimson trapdoors to support them. Then I placed a ring of magenta terracotta on the grass circle in the center, which, come to think of it, I don't actually think I showed building earlier. Anyways, I got rid of the grass only to put it back because I realized I needed it to put down the crimson wood. This whole project has a lot of mixed blocks, so having the center platform be only made up of one type of block would have felt underwhelming. To finish the platform, I added a ring of crimson slabs around it and then a ring of crimson trapdoors around that. Then put a ring of crimson slabs under the obsidian and finally some crafting tables in the center under the ladders. Yeah, that's so much nicer. Now I can actually walk in the center without falling, and I'm still able to access the honey farm from inside the dome. I really like building the flower forest, and since 1.20 introduced the cherry trees and bamboo planks, I want to build my own cherry grove with bamboo mixed in, which means I need more materials. And while I'm here, I meant to do this last episode, but yeah, music corner, which I'll probably never use. For this biome, I wanted to add a pond in the middle, so I outlined where it will go and filled it in with dirt, then made the entire ground out of moss like I've done before. Moss has such a vibrant color, so I like using it whenever I can, since grass looks pretty dull in the end. That also lets me place regular dirt for texturing the floor, since there's no grass to spread to the dirt, meaning I can save on some coarse dirt. After filling in the pond with water, I planted the cherry trees, which was much more tedious than I anticipated since the trees kept looking very blocky and uninspired. I eventually took a break and decorated the pond, only to soon realize that I needed bone meal to grow the bamboo, so I went back to the wither skeleton farm, again, but eventually I grew all the bamboo, finished the pond, and got the trees to look good, but something was still missing. Wait, can I bone meal the petals? Yes, I can, awesome. Now I can go around and plant like a dozen stacks of these. There's still a lot of empty space, so I'm gonna plant some azalea trees in too, kind of like as if the azalea trees eventually grow into cherry trees, or they could just be azalea trees, whatever, it looks good either way. And now the biome's done, and it's looking exactly how I imagined it. Yeah, that adds good height variation too, since the last couple biomes have been a bit flat. Now it's time for a biome I've been really excited to build, a pine forest. Everything up to this point has been completely new to me, but this biome is a bit more in my comfort zone since I have some idea how to make small pine trees and texture the ground. And for that, I'm also gonna need some acacia wood, andesite, some other stuff. Now let me just outline the ground, and fill it in with a mix of path blocks, coarse dirt, gravel. Okay, maybe just cobblestone on the bottom layer and a mix of gravel and cobble for the rest. With the ground textured, I moved on to building the trees. I'm new to building custom trees and used some tutorials to help me build them, so thanks to Braylon and fWhip for the inspiration. I'll have links to their tutorials in the description below. Alright, looking good so far, just gotta add some rocks. Now I'm hoping that using a mix of acacia wood, andesite, stone, and cobblestone should let me make the rocks look a bit more natural. Yeah, I think that's right. Let me just add a few more of these along here. And I'm just gonna add a couple more trees, and done. Walking through each biome is so cool because it feels like I'm not even in the end anymore. I mean, as long as I ignore the endless void around me. Oh, can I fly through? Oh, nailed it. I'll be honest, the next biome is sort of a filler biome, but one I've wanted to try building on my own someday, which is the coral reef. Since I built a guardian farm last episode, I decided to use a mix of the different prismarine blocks as the ground. As for the corals, I used a leftover mix of terracotta blocks and tried to replicate what coral looks like from the actual biome. This style is way out of my element like the mushrooms were earlier, but I tried my best to add variation and make them as three-dimensional as possible. And finally, I replaced some of the ground with waterlogged slabs and put down patches of coral fans I got earlier from the actual coral reef. I wish I could have used coral blocks here too, but for now, terracotta and sea pickles will have to do. And you know what? This turned out better than I thought it would. I'm happy with this. Sticking with the tropical theme, this next biome is an oasis biome, which will have a pond like the cherry grove, as well as some palm trees, which, come to think of it, I don't think I've actually ever built before. For the ground, I'm using a mix of sand and sandstone, meaning I had to take a trip back to the mining desert. As for the palm trees, I need jungle wood and leaves. All right, that should be enough. Whoa, look at that. That was pretty cool. But I am going to repair this elytra because I don't want to die if that happens again. Once my elytra was fixed, I built the base of the biome with a mix of sand and sandstone and added coarse dirt for the pond area to give the illusion that the ground gradually gets drier as you move away from the water. Speaking of the water, I decorated it pretty much the same as I did in the cherry grove, bone mealing under the water and using some green glass and flower pots to make custom plants. Like I said earlier, I'm new to building palm trees, even though they're supposed to be like really easy to build. So I'm following some tutorials by Adler Media, Biggs87X, and a cucumber, which will all be linked in the description below. Let me just add some cacti, dead bushes, and yeah, that looks great. Oasis biome complete.
But Mim, I want to go to the plains biome.
But honey, we had the plains biome at home. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm building. I just need some leaves, gravel, and cactus for some green dye. Oh, a desert temple. Ooh, dune armor trims. Interesting. Huh. There's 2 villages near each other. Good to know. And another temple with more armor trims. Back at the house, I gathered some grass blocks before converting some more concrete and making terracotta. And then in the end, I started working on the ground. Instead of mixing the blocks like I have been in the other biomes, I wanted to focus the grass on a small hill, then dissipate it, transitioning into the concrete and terracotta, which means now I can build the trees, with a twist of course. So instead of birch logs, I'm going to use some bone blocks and surround them with birch leaves like this, so it's like a regular Minecraft tree. Honestly, the weirdest thing is that they don't look weird, at least not from far away. But what will look weird is the oak trees, because instead of oak leaves, I'm using spruce leaves. Okay, dude, that's just wrong. Once I committed more abominations and planted some flowers, I moved on to building a village house, using stripped oak and regular stone instead of the usual cobblestone and regular oak. Yeah, this really is cursed, isn't it? Anyways, the rest of the house was pretty normal, and I added some decorations on the inside. The right side of the house was looking pretty empty, so I added a little campfire area with spruce slabs, signs, and trapdoors. Then I went back and built a few more trees and finished the biome by putting a magenta bed in the house. As stupid as this biome is, I honestly really like it, which probably says a lot about me, doesn't it? Before I build the last biome of the video and complete the build, I have to do something about the edge. Right now, the biomes just kind of conveniently stop at the concrete, but I want to add a trim around the whole build so it actually looks like the biomes are contained by it. It should help the build pop a little more and also make it look more natural, because everything about this video has been natural so far. I want to build it out of smooth quartz, and since I ran the bartering farm for gravel earlier, I should have... yeah, that should be enough. Let me just smelt all of it real quick. There we go. And I'll need some wool. Oh, I committed a drive-by shearing. If it was an orange sheep, it'd be a drive-by edge shearing. The trim's design is pretty simple. It's just some white carpet on top of the magenta concrete, then quartz slabs on the outside of the concrete with stairs about every 7 blocks, topped off with a ring of slabs. I wanted it to be simple enough to not take away from the focus of the build, while also having some variation so it doesn't look like some blocky flat line. And now it's time for the last biome of the video. Everything has led up to this moment, and the final biome of the video is going to be the honey biome. Okay, hear me out. In the book of Exodus, God tells Moses to lead the Israelites to a land of milk and honey, and I thought it'd be cool to build my own version with a river of milk and a land of honey. For the milk, I'm going to use white concrete and glass since I obviously can't use actual milk, and I'll use yellow concrete for the honey. Oh wait, I just had a great idea. Are there any? Yeah, there's a bee nest here. Awesome. And another. I didn't think I'd ever need to enter this room again, but here I am getting more bees. I think I have trauma from last episode. With all the materials gathered, I started off by marking the path where the river will go, then filling it in with a mix of the white concrete and glass. Then I moved on to the land, which I made out of yellow concrete and yellow concrete powder. I ended up going back to the river to touch up the edges, replacing some of the concrete with concrete powder to keep it from looking like some artificial border was there. Heading down to the honey farm, I made honey and honeycomb blocks and started building custom trees, using honeycombs as the base and a mix of yellow terracotta and honey blocks as the leaves. Obviously, honey trees don't exist in real life, so I used the pine and palm trees from earlier as inspiration, replicating their shape and mixing in whatever honey blocks I had. Well, this is looking yellow, so I'm going to add some moss blocks in here to put some flowers on. Actually, maybe I should replace some of it with grass blocks so I can bone meal it. And that's the final flower. And of course, how could I have a honey biome without bees? Hey, little buddy, you liking the flowers? I should probably breed more bees in here too, since I didn't bring in that many. I mean, the rest of them are in the honey farm, but I'm actually going to put some rose bushes in the flower patches too, and Wait, that's it, isn't it? I'm done. I can clean up the shulker boxes for the last time. I'm done with the build. Wait, look at all the biomes around me. This is crazy. And that's the story of my end island transformation. Starting from an oversized birthday cake, I cut down the obsidian pillars, cleared the end island, built a massive upside down dome, and topped it off with 12 amazing custom biomes. This project took a month to complete, by the way, so drop a like if you enjoyed. And with that, I'll see you all in my next episode.